Welcome back. You are listening to Three Makes Baby with me, your host, Jana Rupnow, the author of Three Makes Baby and a fertility counselor specializing in alternate family building. If you've been listening for a while, then you know I interview parents that are struggling with infertility and donor-conceived adults talking about their experience being donor-conceived. My goodness, I've been gone for a while, but I am back from the high mountains, my summer retreat, where I worked just a little and recharged a whole lot and spent a lot of times with bears. I had one in the backyard walk right up to me. Well, not that close. He was probably about 50 yards. No, closer. Anyway, I was on the phone with a client and looked up and there was a black bear. So I had to quickly hang up and run inside. But it's good to be back, and I have some exciting news, so be sure to listen all the way to the end so you don't miss out on a really incredible opportunity. But I'm excited to be back with new connections and new guests. Let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I have two very, very special guests on the show, and I think we touched base. It's been a month now with Romi. I have Romi and Brittany here, and I'd come back from a break and was getting back into posting and engaging with people on Instagram. And I just feel so fortunate to have connected with you. You reached out to me, Romi, and said, hey, I like this message. I think it was a post about something I'd shared and you liked the message and really you were sharing with me how important you think that the donor conceived person's perspective is. And I have to tell you, it was really refreshing because I get so many people, and up to that point, I had gotten so many people saying, I'm unfollowing you, you're too DCP, you're too donor conceived person focused, and we think that you are only showing the negative or only talking about the negative, and that's really discouraging to me because that is not my intention at all, is to only show negative. It couldn't be farther from the truth. So I was so excited when you reached out, and you really just gave me some support, honestly, by saying what you said. It really encouraged me. So a little bit of background, and then I'll let you talk. So Romi and Brittany are two mommies, and you have two beautiful children, and I want to let you tell their ages. And I want to just let you tell your story now about your family.
Absolutely. I'll introduce myself since I'll be brief, because Romi is really the one with the story. But my name is Brittany, and I am Romi's wife. We have two little babies, or I guess baby and toddler, I should say. Yeah. Logan is about 6.5 months, and our little 2-year-old Ava, well, I should say she's closer to 2.5 now. So, and let's see, we've been married about almost 6 years. Going on 6 years, yeah. And just expanding our family. And I'm going to let Romi jump in and introduce herself and kind of go about how you two, came about meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're really happy, first of all, to be here. Well, let's see. How did we come to meet? So I guess to start, we are like you said, a 2-mom family. We are a little bit out there on Instagram.
Yes, so, you are.
Yeah, this is just a little bit out there on Instagram.
And, we think, just like you and, others out there, maybe not others out there, that we were trying to do as much research on our family, being donor conceived, both of our children, about, as much as we can, not really knowing too much ourselves other than what we were kind of told preconception.
Yeah, I guess we were just trying to do a little bit more of research. I remember a while back, I did a post talking about our kids having donor siblings, and that led me into joining a group on Facebook, which opened a whole new world to us. It was It was completely eye-opening. I thought I was joining a group to find more donor siblings, and it ended up being a group of donor conceived adults educating people, recipient parents on, I guess,
different ways
different
to
ways
educate
of
your children on, how they became who they are, today, and who
help
they will
them,
become,
help them along their journey,
to identifying themselves and, who
which
they want to be.
eventually led me to you. I started looking for people, families that thought like us,
To gain more information.
just to have support,
Having insight from, now that these donor conceived children are becoming adults, trying to find out, like, from you guys, what can we know? What can we do that maybe we haven't done right in the past that we can do better going forward? So
what can we do to help our kids?
I love that openness. And I love that you reached out and said, hey, we want to not dismiss these feelings, but we want to be open to them and we want to learn. And I love that because I want to be encouraging to parents that there are solutions, that if you listen and you feel like, oh no, these are scary things or they're problems or that's not the intention. The intention is to show you the solutions, but we can't even look at a solution until we actually know there might be something that we need a solution for. So that's what I think that first step is just coming to looking at some things and saying, okay, don't get scared, get skilled, right? Don't get scared, get skilled, because I promise you that there are resources out there and that there are ways that you can talk and learn and share and be the like healthiest, most beautiful family just as you are. And so, but without having those skills and this education, there are definitely some areas that as parents, we can trip up on, when we're raising. So it's just a different, it's a different story, and it's a story that's unique and special. And because of that, we can't use the same old narratives that don't apply. And so it's like, how do we create new narratives, and what does that look like? And I think just you having such exposure and just, have such a grand presence on Instagram, you have this amazing ability and platform to be an example and to show others the way. And, just, I think of the hundreds of thousands of lives that can be affected by that, in the long run. So it's a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you to say. And, we want to thank you in return. Personally myself, just, like you said, everyone's journey is unique and different, and you can't use, it's not one size fits all anymore. Right. No. And I think that's why embracing ourselves and, what makes us, us and unique is so important these days. And, that's for any family, and I think, like you said, it's a journey and it's a learning process, and one that I'm grateful for because, being completely open and honest, it was very scary for me as the non-genetic parent. I felt very vulnerable,
And even for me as the genetic parent, it was also scary, when we signed up to be parents, when we first purchased the sperm, we never really thought we would be in this spot, a couple of years later, finding a biological family,
Yeah.
And to us it was, oh, you have two moms and our families, and that's that. The donor is the donor. That's all the donor is,
Right. And we've learned that it's so much more than that. Because of the journey, we both have been able to take together as well as individually, learning, our different paths and ways. It's kind of broken down a lot of those barriers for me and us personally. And it's exciting, right? So, the unknown is scary, but it's exciting to see what's out there. And at the end of the day, our number one priority is our children and what's best for them. And this is what we feel personally is best.
Yeah. And Brittany, you bring up such a good point. You said you were feeling vulnerable, and can you share a little bit more? Because I know so many people feel the same way. I've heard this, many, many, many times over the past decade. So tell me a little more about kind of what felt vulnerable and what fears were coming up for you.
Absolutely. I would have to say, being the non-genetic parent, our initial intention when we picked out our sperm donor was, of course, we want to make sure their health is good, but we also want to have physical attributes that match mine as well as my wife. So, I feel connected to them when we're together. They'll look like me a little bit, who knows, right? But because I was, I chose not to carry them, I felt not that something was missing, but I wanted to be able to give something to them. And it kind of made me feel like, oh, wow, there is this other, half of their genetics, we should say, that there is no denying it. It exists. It's there. It's from someone. And that someone, biologically speaking, is not me. So by identifying who that person or, family could be, I felt like, is it replacing me? As silly as that sounds at the time, because, they'll be like, oh, maybe that's why I have freckles, things that I can't explain. But, through not only your book, but your book definitely being one of the top ones, but my own just, research and experiences, I've been able to learn that, and even my wife's experience with her, the way she was raised by her father, who wasn't her genetic father, that, genetics is a huge component in life, but it's not everything when it comes to a family.
Yes.
And I know, you talked to us about that personally through your own story. So, everything through epigenetics, and I'm embracing it. And I think it's in the long run what we signed up for, and it's a good thing. We're welcoming more love, if anything, into our life.
More love. I love that. That's so true. And yeah, epigenetics is something that I really, when parents were afraid to kind of have that feeling of being vulnerable or being, maybe scared that this donor person, the donor other, the biological other would take on a role that was larger than you really wanted. I think that's a fear, is that this person's going to be
exactly
or be more
exactly
have
something that I can't offer, and
and that's not true. And then so we talk about the raising of a child, and like you said, Romi has this experience too. We were raised by people that we weren't related to, and that is still our parent figure. Like, you can't replace that feeling. It's such a deep-rooted feeling.
Yeah, you really can.
You can't. It's in the depths of yours.
Yeah, I know I have a biological father, but to me, my dad was the one that raised me, the one that was there every single day with me throughout my life experience, growing up. That's my dad.
Yeah. And there's a sense of familiarity there that just is irreplaceable, and of family and shared memories.
Absolutely. But that also doesn't delete the fact that I have a biological side.
Yes. Yeah. And that biological part is the part of someone that is, their genetics is something that helps them with their identity. And so I think when we, talking to parents about epigenetics, you look at how there's some confusion around it, but essentially the message is, by raising your child and being there every day and having this influence on them, they get formed in a certain way that is unique to that experience. And that is your role. That's the sort of stamp, I guess you could put on them, like you like to say, I don't know, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's really a beautiful thing. And however, we don't want it to replace the genetic piece that we can also see in our child, and honor that and love that and bring that forth, embrace it and say, highlight it and enjoy that part too. So it's like this reconciliation you have inside yourself as a parent.
Exactly.
And you gain more confidence over time too, if you allow that to come through, like you guys have, which is so great.
Exactly. If you're, what's the word, but it's not confident, but if you have that security in your any relationship in your life, but with your children especially, I know that the love I have for my children, the love they have for me, nothing is going to jeopardize that. So I think because of that, it if anything makes our bond stronger by going through that journey together.
By being so open, by supporting them through their journey, I think they're only going to be closer to us.
Oh, absolutely. Because, what they need you so much to be able to be their guide and to their model, and to say, how do we do this? This happened at school today. What would you do? And that just is such an amazing thing that bonds you. So, and I think they just get afraid that we can't talk about the hard stuff without having a break, but that's not true. Like you said, it's a stronger bond. If you've done the inner work, it's the opposite. You have a stronger bond, not a break. Yeah,
exactly. By doing that, I feel like, we want our children at any age, whether, not that they can really talk, our little boy right now, but at any age, to be able to feel comfortable enough to come and talk to us about anything, you know, whether it's, you know, sensitive information or something they're afraid to bring up to us, like, you know, finding genetic background or whatever it might be for them at that time. And we think by being open and having, you know, truly embracing everything and being, you know, an open book and honest with them about it, that they should feel 100% comfortable talking to us, you know, about anything that's on their mind, and as opposed to feeling, you know, maybe we shouldn't bring this up to them. Yes. So we want them to always know that it's a safe place no matter what, and genuinely mean it, and for them to see that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, what do you say to, you know, there are lots of recipient parents that say, you know, the donor, it doesn't matter. It's just a donor, you know, that person's irrelevant. This is your family, sort of accept it, you know, like accept it the way it is and don't ask questions. What would you say to that?
I think there's a huge lack of information out there from the beginning of the journey, from starting your research, from buying the sperm from the bank to going to your clinic to your first appointment. You don't ever hear any of the donor conceived side of nothing, you know? So unless, in my case, unless you are like me, pretty out there in social media, and like me, came across someone, a donor conceived person, then I don't think I would have maybe
any information, really.
Maybe come across any information that made me change your perspective. To change my perspective to what it is now, you know?
Being honest, used to be that person that's like, you know, the donor is just that, a sperm donor. Like, this is our family, not knowing anything. And this was, you know, a bit back. And I feel like it's amazing for me to think that, wow, where I've come from then to today and like
now
is you know, mind blowing to me. Like, and it's all because of educating yourself. And, you know, again, everyone has to make the decision that's right for them and their family. But, you know, that's through our personal research and education and thoughts, what we think is the right thing.
Yeah.
And also the more, I feel like the more we talk about it, the more we make it public, the more we share our stories.
We advocate for it.
And maybe then more people will be willing to, you know, to maybe make changes, or start making changes, start researching.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to kind of stumble around a little bit with what I'm thinking and trying to say. I think there's a sense of, and it's a natural thing at first, where you want to kind of, you know, circle the wagons, and this is your family and you're starting fresh and you want your story, and that is normal. And that's what people want. And so thinking of a third, an other, interfering with that process is not necessarily what you want. You don't want that other, and, you know, you don't want them really on the mind. But in that state, you're kind of wanting the sense of control of your family, which totally makes sense. And so when you feel like, you know, starting to recognize that other, or starting to see that your child might want to know more about that other, maybe you feel a lack of control, or there's something, you know, about your family that's changing that you originally didn't want. But what I see, and I would just say another way to look at it is that by educating yourself, you really can get a sense of empowerment over your family, and you can feel like you can understand. So there's not a need to control. There's not a need to kind of circle the wagons or hold tight, but it's more like, I can relax. I can let go. I can trust. It's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I wonder if you know, if there are ways, well, one thing I wanted to say and share is that this is not an all or nothing topic in any way, shape, or form. Like you said, there are so many different stories, and there are so many different ways that you can begin to have that conversation. So I think another thing that people get afraid of is that, well, we really don't, we kind of want to ignore this other, the biological other. And we don't, but so by acknowledging it, does that mean we have to go like all in? Like, do we have to go all the way and just like know the person, just be best friends, hang out at the beach every weekend? You know, no. And that's, I think we have to get out of the all or none thinking and get into that more. Yeah. There's a lot of middle ground, and there's a lot of time too. There's 18 years to begin to walk the walk, walk
It's
this
a very
walk.
fluid situation, and every single parent story or, parent or parent story is different. You know what I mean? And just because you're donor conceived or, adopt, it doesn't matter. It will be completely different from one another. So, and like you said, it's very fluid. And because of that, it leaves the door open for you to share your story or their information or how you'd like to with them in different ways.
So
different
ways,
that, like
baby
said,
steps.
Yes. Not black and white, it's not all in or nothing. It's baby steps, and you do what's right, along the way.
And as you feel comfortable too,
Yeah.
Because this is also a process for the parents. As much as we want to go through this, and it's still very emotional.
It is very emotional. It's such a good point.
It is still very emotional.
Yes.
So yeah, baby steps. Baby steps as we feel comfortable.
Yeah. Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm not saying that because your name is Romi. I'm not, I promise. I like to say lean towards openness. And that doesn't mean people think that means, oh, she's saying you should only have an open donor. And that's what that means. No, lean towards openness means open up yourself, open, to possibilities, open to new growth, and, open to emotions, open to fears, facing fears. Leaning towards openness is the way we take baby steps in the direction we want to go. So, sometimes it's just daunting to think, oh gosh, this is too overwhelming for me to deal with this idea of this other person. And that's okay. You don't have to, again, it's not overnight. It's
exactly. You don't have to deal with them today. Maybe, you could start by picking up a book about, just something.
Yeah.
Just baby steps. And
like we were talking the other day, we opened up about our DNA journey. We got one of the kids tested. And, we are days away from getting our results. And this is something we've been talking about a lot. What is it that we want? How are we doing it? And it goes back to baby steps, First, let's get the results. Then let's see if we can even find this donor. Let's see if we can make contact with him. Initially, since the babies are little, it would be ideal to have a little maybe photo book for them to have, of pictures of the grandparents, all the bio family, their stories.
Yeah. And you get to also, what's fun about it really is you get these pieces of information about your child that are so specific. It's like it's like a new discovery, and you can share that with them with the DNA testing. I know there are some parents out there that think DNA testing is like a violation maybe of your child's, privacy. There are ways to get around that. And so there are ways to protect your child's privacy on the sites.
Absolutely. So we haven't put any of his information out there. We took the necessary steps to make sure that his information and our information are also safe, and as we feel comfortable, we will share.
Yeah, and I know some parents protect their children's privacy by setting up the account in a different name or using an alias when you publish the name. So there's kind of two levels of privacy or protection that you can choose as a parent to, if you're concerned about that.
And absolutely. So in our case, back when Ava was born, we noticed that she had a smaller ear. Later on, fast forward to later on, we found out that she had unilateral hearing loss and microtia, which means that the outside part of the ear isn't fully developed.
Okay.
So let's keep fast forwarding to, we met one of the half siblings, and she was showing, the mom was showing us pictures of the website that we have where we can find or connect with more families that use the same donor. And there was a picture of one of the siblings, and this little boy was also missing.
His arm wasn't fully developed.
His arm wasn't fully developed. And it just, it's something that stayed with us, you know?
So long story
yeah.
short, we made the connection, like, what are the chances genetics that her ear didn't fully develop and his arm didn't? So the point was we
Yeah.
had reasons to
So,
look for medical.
Just one of the many reasons why you should have a lot more access to the donor, their information, their family, because all of this is information that, you know,
Yes.
we didn't have prior to finding these little siblings.
It's so true. Yeah. And that is information that really the banks should know too, and share with families, you know, so
You would
that is,
hope
yeah,
for that. Yeah, exactly. And share that with them.
You would hope.
Whatever. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you would hope,
yeah.
but, you know, maybe that's not always the
Mhm.
circumstance for whatever reason. So we take it upon ourselves to make that, you know, no patient information disclosed like HIPAA, but, you know, like let people know, hey, there's information out there if you want it because it's available.
That's good. Yeah, that's very good. And did you connect, have you connected at all in the donor sibling registry?
Not that website, but we have found, as far as we know, all of the siblings that we know of.
Oh, wow.
Through
Yeah,
the link.
that's great.
We have connected with all of them, and then some from Australia.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you didn't even need the donor sibling registry, really?
Actually, no. And one of the families paid for the website, and it was just her and one more family.
Oh yeah. So it's not even, it's what I'm finding is that DNA testing is way more extensive at this point, you know? Yeah.
Exactly.
So fantastic. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share at all?
I think we just want to honestly thank you for your time and help us. You know, we're trying to be the best advocates that we can be for our family and what we're learning and
being there for the community, you know. Thank you for being so open, for taking your time to, for talking to us, talking to other families. You know, amidst the criticism you've received in the past, you know, there are, just staying there and doing and continuing so much for the communities. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And anything I can do, just stay in touch and let me know. And I will, you know, happily provide more information, whatever parents are requesting to know or learn more about within my realm of knowledge. Anyway, I'll do, or I'll find out who can.
And we will do the same.
Awesome. Well, I love seeing your pictures on Instagram. If you want to follow these two lovely ladies, her Instagram, Romi's Instagram handle. Do we say handle? That made me sound old. Name is ROMIRL92. And you can follow there and just be able to connect with these two lovely, lovely women. So I appreciate your time today.
We appreciate your time.
We appreciate
and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to the 3 Mix Baby podcast. I have a couple announcements before you get to go. One is the 3 Mix Baby workshop is now open, the first of its kind, and it is open for registration. This is going to be a great opportunity to connect with other recipient parents in a small, intimate setting. We are going to be diving deep for not the next 4 weeks, but for 4 weeks at a time. And, you know, I'm this type of person who I like to give you a ton of information in one sitting. So if you ever work with me as a therapist, I just give you a lot in that hour, a lot of value. So that's how I'm going to approach this workshop. Probably going to give you too much because I can't, that's just my nature. So this is going to be an incredible value for you because in those, you're going to get 4 Zoom calls, tons of information, exercises, role playing, all kinds of scripts that you can have for future reference. And we're going to dive into information that isn't in anything else. It's not out there. It's not in my book. It's not on the podcast. So it's going to be the answers to a lot of the questions you might be asking. So to join that, you can go to Instagram link, bio links. You can go to my website, janarepnow.com, and you can go to 3mixbaby.com. Lots of different ways to find that workshop. If you just absolutely cannot find it that way, email me at jana@janarepnow.com. and I will meet you back here for the next episode. Thanks for listening. If you would like to follow for more content, you can go to my Instagram and Facebook account at Jana Rep Now LPC, or follow 3 Makes Baby on Instagram. You can get a copy of my book and the companion workbook to 3 Makes Baby on Amazon. If you like this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day.